the century to come, which we are going to have to confront. I think we're going to get it done this year, and I'm really proud of the President for bringing it to our attention. Daniel Betts.
Thank you very much. And next is number 1. Ready, Mr. Khan? Should Congress extend the ACA subsidies?
That question wasn't made for me.
You saw me try, you saw me try.
So a minute and a half is very hard to talk about. Let me share something real fast. So America has the best and worst healthcare system in the world, right? So if people don't understand, ACA is the Affordable Care Act, started in 2010 under the Obama administration, has actually been tasked, as President Trump said, the Unaffordable Care Act, created with hundreds of billions of dollars subsidies towards insurance and hundreds of billions of dollars towards illegal immigrants getting free health care, right? So that's what they're fighting. It created the longest government shutdown in U.S. history back in December. Should have done it this month, but we had 17 Republicans that broke rank and voted with the Democrats to fund $80.6 billion back to the healthcare insurance companies for the next 3 years. It's broken, it needs to be fixed. So we have a lot of issues with that. President Trump just put out his plan just last week, going over several things. Health savings plan, which is a great idea. Pharmaceutical companies, drug price is great. Basically equal, right? If you're paying same price in Europe, you're going to pay the same price in the United States. I added 3 things to healthcare that I sent up to the White House under white paper. Number 1 is anybody who's providing and paying for premiums for health insurance individually, you get to write those off in taxes. So if you're paying $10,000 in healthcare premiums, you get to write those off. Small businesses that do not get to offer health insurance because it's too expensive also get to write that off in taxes. You will see an immediate impact across this nation with millions of people getting health insurance in this nation. And then the third thing is a catastrophic health care plan that nobody in America should go broke in their time of need or death. And those are 3 things. Kyle for Texas.
Thanks, sir. Number 3. That'd be you.
Weston Martinez, I live in the district, and I live in Bexar County.
I'm sorry, where are you from again, sir?
Just
Okay.
like Lamar Smith.
Here we go. What specific transportation and infrastructure projects would you prioritize in CD21 over the next 4 years, and how would you fund them?
So a couple of quick things. Being involved in this in San Antonio and in Texas for over 20 years, I can tell you that I helped to fight the liberal city hall when they were trying to push light rail down our throat. I helped to fight the other bus rapid transit when they were trying to push that down our throat, and we beat them again along with a group of people. And now this third one, they're making it over the goal line. I can tell you that when we look at transportation, one of the things that we really need to talk about is our airport. All right, the airport right now has problems with some of the runways. We need to invest in that infrastructure so we can get people in and out quicker. But the other thing that is a big idea is to take the cargo flights that come into the airport and let's move them to Kelly Air Force Base. Let's expand our economy in San Antonio so we got more room to grow without allowing the liberals an opportunity to put another bond on our throat like they continue to do. Go Google this word, certificate of obligation bond debt. That's all the debt that your elected officials have voted to put on your back without coming to you for permission. All right, and one of those things was when we tore down Bear Met. So we have to look at fixing our infrastructure with our flights. We also have to look at fixing our infrastructure with our highway system, and that's why when we look back at infrastructure and transportation, I have talked about creating an interstate water system that mirrors the interstate highway system. That would allow us to bring water from across the country to solve our water crisis. Again, that guy I told you about earlier bought all the farmland so he could get the water. WestonForTexas.com.
Thank you very much. Number 2. We know you, sir. We know you. All right, here we go. Tiny print. Bear with me here. Okay. How would you ensure that border policies protect both national security and the local Texas economy?
Very good. First of all, I have to tell you, being number 2 on the ballot here is fantastic because my son was number 2 on his 6-man football team, so he thinks I'm going to win Bexar County just because I got a great number. So I love being number 2. But with regard to border policy, the president is doing a fantastic job on the border. And the fact of the matter is that the border is shut down, and we are now shifting towards a focus on the illegals that are in the country and getting them out. And I talked about that earlier with my ICE plan. But the other thing is we have to pass the PAUSE Act. We have to get a complete stoppage of immigrants coming into the country so that we can actually figure out who is here and who needs to be here and who should not be here. For me, this is an incredibly personal issue. My daughter is a junior at Texas A&M University. She struggles with being at the university because of the number of foreign students that are on campus. Those seats that are being taken are seats that you as taxpayers in the state of Texas have paid for. They are being taken by foreign students right now. So at the end of the day, we've got to make sure that Texas taxpayers are protected and that the seats that you've already paid for are going to your children and your grandchildren and not to someone from another country. And that's what the PAUSE Act proposes to do, is say, let's stop all of this. And what concerns me even more is that the universities have moved away. You know, the legislature did something with DEI and said we have to stop those. The universities are quickly shifting to say that, well, we can still achieve some level of diversity in our universities through student visas, and that's the program that they're using.
Thank you very much. All right, number 7.
I think Peggy said, I heard if she couldn't make it, I could take her spot and sit up there. Is that right? No?
Very sweet. She feels better too, though. Okay, here we go. Should the president be allowed to go into foreign countries, okay, in the middle of the night and capture these corrupt leaders?
100%, absolutely, unequivocally. You should be able to do that. And doing what we did, you look how long it took to solve things that didn't get solved in the Middle East, but going in there, getting a narco-terrorist who was responsible for releasing people out of his prisons, coming into our country, the drug trafficking, all that's happened, where he's at today is where he belongs. And I support President Trump 100%. The team that went in there and got it done, kudos to them. As a veteran, I'm even more proud as an American. So yes, when it comes to that, you know, the liberals were beside themselves, and Don Lemon was freaking out, and all these people couldn't believe it. 100%. If it's a threat to our country, and you got somebody that's impacting our country, and American lives are being lost, then we have the right to go in there, and President Trump did the right thing. I would support him 100% again in doing that, in any country that impacts us that way.
Thank you very much. Number 5. All right. Here we go. So Mark, how would you foster private sector growth while ensuring workers earn family-sustaining wages in the Hill Country and San Antonio areas?
This is a great question. Education to me is extremely important. Job growth is extremely important. We all know that CD21 is growing. And we all know that we have to manage that growth properly. And we need to have the right jobs for CD21, for everybody across the district. Not every single person in this district, in this state, in this country should be going to college. Everyone says, oh, you've got to go to college, you've got to go $100,000 into debt, you've got to get a degree that you may or may not get a job. I am a big proponent of actual job training. And it can start in middle school, it can start in high school, it can be post-high school. But I would support any program, any one of you, come into my office. I want to hear from you. Any program that you think will help job growth, help your friends, your kids, anybody get a job in the district, I'm for it. We need welders, we need electricians, we need to be able to build things. The liberals have been talking for years, well, we need all these illegals in the country because no Americans will do those jobs. They're not qualified to put on roofs and to be carpenters. That's a problem, folks. Carpenters make a whole bunch of money. I'm not sure if y'all built a house lately. Carpenters make a whole bunch of money. Plumbers make a whole bunch of money. If you start young, if my son starts as a freshman in high school, if he starts a job training program right now, and builds his own business, he could be a millionaire by the time he's in his 20s. I would support those programs.
Thank you very much. Here we go. So number 10. Technology and innovation. What role should the federal government play in regulating artificial intelligence and emerging technologies?
Sure thing. So there was a big discussion about the 10th Amendment and when Trump said the federal government's going to take over it. I'll be honest, I had my apprehension about that. But as I thought of it, we have nuclear weapons. The state of Texas doesn't have nuclear weapons, it's the federal government. So when we look at nuclear regulatory, we look at power, we look at medicine, we look at health, the federal government has been the one that has brought together people from all over the country and said, this is how we're gonna do this, and it's the best of our country. Federal government has the power to do that with AI. And being the only one that's a software engineer in this race and probably in the primaries for the whole country, I'm the only one that has a background in AI, in data centers, and I have that unique understanding that I can start from day one on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 8.
It's like Russian roulette.
That's all right, who's gonna be next? Okay, here we go. How would you help address rising property taxes and home insurance costs?
Oh my goodness, that's right on my alley. Right. Rising property taxes. Well, first of all, I want to get rid of property taxes. I think they're absolutely insane. We shouldn't be renting our property from the government. We should be taking these surpluses and bringing down property taxes. I don't know. Can I see a raise of hands? How many people's property taxes have come down in the last 2 or 3 years? A couple, yeah, maybe 3% in here, 3%. Mine haven't come down at all. They've gone up. So that's the first thing I think we ought to do is get rid of property tax. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair, and I think it's again un-American. Insurance. These insurance companies, their stocks are over 1,000%, right? And we are paying through the roof for insurance. So the first thing I want to do with insurance companies is, you know what? Your monopoly on all of us is over. We're going to expand the networks. You're going to be able to choose across insurance lines so that you have a free market. If you need a product, you can get it in Georgia, you can get it in Illinois, you can get it in New York, you can get it anywhere. That's a free market system that will stop the monopolies that insurance companies have on us. It's a very simple plan, and I know people will say, oh, that's too complicated, we'll never get people to agree. But it's just another example of how the free market can solve these issues. So, as you can tell, I'm a believer in the free market. That's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, here we go. Heather's question is?
Heather Tesmer, I do live in the district. I'm Heather Tesmer, I do live in the district.
Here we go, my dear. Where do you stand on continued funding for Ukraine?
That's a tough one. I'm a trained mediator, and I really think that the talks are gonna get us there between the Ukraine and Russia. I really do believe that continuing to talk means that we're headed towards a solution. When the talks break down, that's when we've given up. And something similar to that happened here in Texas when our Democrats ran to Chicago. We were trying to get some solutions here in our state, and by disappearing, my husband and I actually were in Chicago when they all came up there. We were there for a conference, and we were shocked that they were running out of the state. And again, I've spent hundreds of hours training to be a mediator. I truly believe in the system. I truly believe if you have talented people, you can get a solution almost every time. I believe Trump and his team are really working hard to create solutions, but Ukraine also is one of our allies, and I think we have to protect our reputation as an ally and we have to be there. So it's a difficult situation all the way around, and I really hate seeing all of the destruction and death that has been going on. And the sooner that we get that fixed, the better.
Next round, here we go. So, number 8. Look at him jump up so fast, okay. All right, Mike. What changes, if any, would you support in the asylum and legal immigration system?
What change, what, can you repeat that?
What changes, excuse me, if any, would you support in the asylum and legal immigration system?
In legal immigration system.
Legal, yes.
All right.
Asylum and legal.
Asylum and legal. Well, I'll tell you, well, maybe one change we could possibly look at is, first I want to focus on the 20 million people who came in under Biden. So that's first of all. And focus on the crooks. Focus on the rapists, focus on the murderers. That's the first thing we need to do. If somebody is in the system already and they've applied for a green card, I think we should be able to cut regulations down. I think we should be on a case-by-case basis if they are following the process. Again, it comes down, are you following what the process is? That's what matters. If Congress wants to change the laws on that, I mean, they're welcome to, but I think the asylum process is working fine the way it is. It's just that we have to enforce what the laws are. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. All right, number 2. Right now, the United States is in debt. What specific spending would you curtail or cut in order to restore fiscal order?
Well, restoring fiscal order is incredibly important, and the passage of the budget bills is incredibly important as well. The only thing that's good about the fact that we operate under continuing resolutions right now is that we are locked in at 2022 spending levels. And so the current continuing resolutions have us just at 2022 levels. That's very important for me as a fiscal conservative, because that means we're not equaling spending to inflationary standards. So one, it's very important. Number 2, and this is not a huge drop in the bucket, but it is something that infuriates me, having worked in Washington, D.C. to see what happens. But you have federal employees who at the end of every fiscal year get a bonus in every agency of the federal government. The way they do that is Congress passes a budget. They say there's a certain amount of money that should go to the agency. The agency then, through the bureaucrats, say, oh, we're incredibly efficient. We got all of these things done. Look at all this money we have left over. We should give everybody an attaboy, and we should hand out money to all of these bureaucrats. That absolutely has to stop. That is an easy bill to pass in Congress. Both Republicans and Democrats can get behind that, because at the end of the day, we don't need to be paying bureaucrats extra money to do their job. Who are the only government employees who don't get a bonus at the end of the year, but yet deserve it? The United States military. They get their check and that's it. But every other agency besides the Department of War is handing out checks. So that'd be the first thing I'd take care of.
Thank you very much, sir. Number 7. I have to keep counting every time, guys. Here we go. All right.
That's like a picture from years ago. Oh my gosh. But anyway.
Okay, my dear. John, how should Congress approach issues like fentanyl trafficking and drug enforcement?
Yeah, that is close to home for me. So fentanyl trafficking is huge. And again, China manufactures it. The cartel gets it into our countries. It comes across the borders. They're wanting to kill us from within, our youngest and brightest. The reason I say it's personal to me is I had 4 kids at one point. I lost my daughter, Michaela, about 3 years ago. She was my princess, my little girl. She was unaware. Someone gave her fentanyl. She had no idea that's what she was getting. And because of that, because of what Chinese do and what has happened, I lost my daughter, and there's a lot, every one of you probably knows somebody who's been impacted and had a loss because of the fentanyl crisis. And China, that's their goal, to destroy this country. We're blowing up drug boats, we're doing other things. They're finding ways to tunnel it in, to get it in by other methods, from drones, you name it. They want to get these drugs into this country to destroy us. So I commend President Trump and what he's doing. I think we need to, I don't agree with what happened during the Biden administration at all. And I can tell you, I was on a lot of early morning flights where there was probably 5 Americans, and the rest were all illegals coming into this country. They were bringing drugs and other things. I was on a flight next to an MS-13 gang member. I know that because he had a tattoo on his neck. Pretty sure he was a criminal because of the tattoos and everything else. Not that I'm judging tats, but when you have MS-13, this guy couldn't even put his seatbelt on. But yet he could come into this country, get his iPhone, get his debit card of $5 or whatever, and he's I would say he's probably a thug and a murderer. There's so many that happen, but the fentanyl crisis is real. Look around, and I'm sure it's touched almost everyone, or you know somebody. So that's one of the biggest issues I'm running on, because some people just aren't aware, and Congress isn't doing enough. President Trump can't fight it alone, but he's doing an incredible job, and I would support everything we can do to eliminate that.
Thank you very much. Number 9.
Daniel Betts.
What is your stance on federal investment in the electric grid and energy resilience?
Thank you. I believe, as I said before, that the federal government primarily needs to get out of the way of the state power, and we need to bring power back to the states. In Texas, we have our own grid. We're not connected to the federal grid, and I like that system. I don't want to connect us to the grid. We're about to, in the next day or so, have a storm that, depending on how it goes, is going to give people an excuse to say that we need to connect and we need to become part of that system. I don't believe that that is the correct solution. If you look at subsidies, if you look at what the federal government has done with respect to energy with Green New Deal subsidies, I think that it's very important to be able to talk to the other side in this divided Congress that we're going to have, to get our ideas across the line. If you're a liberal and you want green energy to work, why would you be for subsidies? Subsidies prevent those technologies from being subjected to market forces, and that means that they will never evolve. Now, I believe as a chemist that the energy simply isn't there, that the amount of energy that you can derive from sunlight or from wind is never going to be sufficient. But for those who are lost in that fantasy, they should at least understand what the market will do. And if you allow the market to allow some of these companies to fail, because right now we're just enriching Wall Street with those subsidies and not even allowing the technology to advance. So I would like to see the federal government get out of the way. And like Mike, I'm a free market economist. I believe that the free market solves all things if we let it. There can be a little pain at first, but pain means that it's working. Daniel Betts, thank you.
Thank you. Number 1. Some in the other party have called for the violent arrest and incarceration of citizens protesting the illegal actions of ICE. That's what they said. Do you support ICE?
Great question. Actually, right before this, I just posted a video talking about supporting ICE. Look, ICE is under attack. When the death threats are up over 1,000% across this nation. We've got a problem in this country where our elected officials, particularly coming from the blue cities, blue states, are calling for that, for action. Look, Governor Walz just a few days ago mentioned about storming a church. And a few days later, guess what they did? Stormed a church. Rioters are across the border doing that. I stand with Tom Holman, met Tom Holman, talked to him regular, text him regular about what's going on in this country. It is a massive problem. Look, mass invasion equals mass deportation. You have to get everybody out. 20 million people from 162 different nations, rapists, murderers, drug traffickers, human traffickers have got to get out of this nation. Look, you have to. There's no way around it. It's under our law. U.S. Constitution 1325 talks about that. If you cross the United States outside of the port of entry, you are committing a federal crime. So all the crybabies that were here at the mayor talking about, they broke a crime. It absolutely needs to happen in this country. We've got to support them, we've got to stand with them. It just passed today in the House a $10 billion budget for the Department of Homeland Security, particularly for ICE, to go after the illegal immigrants who came across this nation. Just today. So it's happening. It's going to happen. We've talked about it. The number of crossings in the border have stopped. We've got to figure out who's in this country and get them out.
Thank you so
Fair
much.
protect.
Number 6. All right. No crazy amendments, I promise.
Yes, Tammy, come on.
Yeah,
I've got a room full of knowledge right here.
Here we are. Being able to articulate our beliefs to those who disagree with us is very important because you'll be representing us in DC. What would you tell someone who believes that the fall of Roe kills women with ectopic pregnancies or miscarriages?
That's emphatically incorrect. I would go with Charlie Kirk. He was the biggest supporter and advocate on abortion, for the advocate of life, pro-life. There is the almost rare instance in which you cannot bring a baby to term. There's 22 weeks, I believe, it goes to the 22 weeks can go into NICU, correct? Right? Viability. Thank you. That's the word for it. So there's, how do you have that conversation with somebody? I guess the real question was, how do you have a dialogue with somebody? You have to be able to reach them on a personal level. And the problem that we have as a Republican or a conservative is that we believe in the Bible. We have a right versus wrong. This is our guide. Their guide is their politics. And so that justifies anything that they can do. And being able to have a dialogue is not screaming and shouting. It's being able to speak to them calmly, being able to try to present the facts and not to tear them down. And that's lessons learned as a CEO. You have to deal with multiple personalities. You have to deal with egos. You have to deal with conflicts. You have to deal with other people's opinions. And unfortunately, in this particular one, they're wrong. But how do you get somebody to understand that they're wrong when they want to scream at the top of their lungs that you were wrong? The two things you can do is, one, pray for them, and two, you have to just kill them with facts. That is how you try to communicate. Just, this is how it is. And the unfortunate reality is there are too many of them that won't hear you no matter how loud or how much truth you say.
Thank you much. Number 10. Housing and cost of living question. What actions should Congress take to increase housing affordability and supply?
So it goes back to immigration, and one of the big things that we've seen is the H-1B and the EB-2 visas. Being at Microsoft, I experienced that firsthand. My whole team of 200 people were laid off. You look at what Microsoft, from 2015 to 2025, they brought in 70,000 H-1Bs. Now, being an engineer, you do a bell curve distribution from entry level to higher level management. That's $100 billion that the American middle class has lost out on. A lot of these companies, that's not Google, that's not Amazon, same thing's happening there. A lot of these companies, and it's trickling down to USAA, said they're gonna move 80% of their jobs over to India. What is that gonna do to our industries? That affects myself, it affects your kids, your grandkids in college. And if we don't get a hold on immigration, especially from these ways that these tech companies and some of the other companies bring these folks in, there's not gonna be anything that we can afford because we're gonna be priced out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Habit number 11. Texas is a leader in both traditional energy and renewables. How would you support an all of the above energy future?
Well, the best way to support is gonna be to use it, and they're gonna definitely need federal money to help with it. So a lot of the questions that we've been getting in some of our interviews have been about the battery and the data centers and those things coming into our district. The biggest problem with those is the water supply, that we really don't have to support that, because the cooling of these systems is part of the problem. Another renewable is the wind, bringing in the electricity with the wind. And I know that some of our scientists and engineers don't believe that that's going to be enough to sustain the energy levels that our state and our district is going to need in the future. So I do believe that we have to keep looking, we have to keep exploring, and we have to keep doing whatever is going to be best to keep Texas and our district at the forefront of all of these different technologies and energy sources. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, number 5. What do you think it's going to be about? What do you think? Wow. How will you convince emotionally low information voters that immigration enforcement is good for them and our country?
So emotionally low, whatever you would call low voters, listen, they need the facts. You need to tell me how open immigration, how open borders have helped anybody. Tell me anyone in this room that has been, that their business is more successful, that their streets are safer, that their hospitals are better, their schools are better. I don't know how an open border helps anybody. And so I'd put the question right back to them. And this is what I've been doing for the last 4 months in the district, is when someone asks a tough question, I say, all right, well listen, ask yourself that question. How has it helped your life? And my guess is that person's gonna say, well, it hasn't. But the liberals tell me that open borders is good, and that ICE is bad, and Republicans are mean, and Orange Man is bad. There's nothing you can tell a crazy liberal to get them to be on your side. I'm sorry. We have to stop wasting our time on crazy liberals and start talking to our own congressmen, our own fellow members in Congress, and say, why are we voting for bad bills? Why are we voting for runaway spending? Why have we not, tell me why we have not passed the SAVE Act in the Senate. You have got to be kidding me. We are stealing elections every single year. The Democrats are stealing elections and they're laughing at us. So if you have an emotionally low voter, you just ask them a question and I guarantee you they're not going to be able to answer it.
Thank you very much. Number 3. Now, where are you coming in?
Weston Martinez, I live in San Antonio, Texas, Bexar County, I live in the district. The old district, 28 years, the new one, 40 years.
Border immigration question for you, sir.
Okay.
How do you believe Congress should balance border security with immigration reform?
So when we're looking at border security and immigration reform, we need to know if somebody's coming into this country to cut our grass or cut our throat. Okay? Let's just make it simple. And once we find that out, then we can figure out what line to sort of in after that. Look, we've got plenty of people that come here legally, they do it the right way, and they have been here waiting for years for the system to get processed. Why does Congress have an approval rating that's 17%? Because they're bad at their job. We wouldn't trust them with a potato gun. But yet, they're over there making decisions that impact the rest of us for our lives and our grandchildren's lives, and they put us into debt holes that we can't even get out of. So what we need to do is, number one, as far as securing the border, I'm the guy that has said, day one, I will push legislation that will eliminate birthright citizenship for illegal aliens. Why? Because we have 300,000 new anchor babies a year in this country because of that. Guess what that impacts? Your affordability. Got any home builders in the room? The price for your cost of goods and services are going to be driven up if there's more people utilizing those goods and services, right? So we need to do that. The other part that we need to fix is if you are here and you are stealing from this country and you came in as an immigrant, you should be deported, denaturalized, and your assets should be seized. You should be thrown out of our country because you are stealing from every veteran and every citizen that has paid into the tax system for years to be provided and to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. That is just a couple of things on how we move forward. I'm Weston Martinez. I live in the district.
Okay, guys, before we move on to our next question, I mean, everyone answered that one, correct? I didn't miss anybody, I wanted to make sure. I'd like to introduce a couple of our leaders in the room, if you don't mind, so you can just take a breather here for a second. We have in the front row with us this evening, our amazing County Commissioner, Grant Moody, is here tonight. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, he took a bullet for all of us today in front of that city council. You know, he was amazing. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but it was quite a show they put on for us today. We also have some other candidates in the room that regrettably we can't let them talk this evening, but we do want to introduce them. The first is Patrick Von Dolen in the back with his wonderful camera right there, running for Bexar County Judge. We are so excited. Okay, we have Keith Barton here, who is running for Congressional District 23. Here, representing Texas Rep House 117. We have the amazing Daphne Praviti Austin, who's running for County Court of Law number 9. Good job. And did I miss anybody, guys? Anybody else? Oh, I'm sorry. And we have the Honorable Kiko Canseco in the back running for CD21. Thank you all for being here this evening. So important. All right. One more question, guys. Maybe we can get 2 in. I don't know. We'll see here, okay? All right. Here we go. Okay, so number 8. All right. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be good. Okay, here we go. What federal actions do you support to balance economic development and environmental stewardship?
I'm gonna take my own county, because we're right in the midst of it in Kendall County. We have so many people moving into our county, there's so much development going on, but we wanna be environmentally safe, right? So the thing I want to do is change the rules. I would change. This isn't really a federal issue, I don't think. But what I would do is change the rules around where you promote small business. You promote. You make the process easier. Decrease the regulatory environment so that the small entrepreneur can get involved and build their business. Right now, what we have is all these huge rules that you need to hire a lawyer. I had it happen to me. I had to hire a lawyer, spend $30,000 just to get through the permit process. You know, but our homes didn't have to do that. But our homes could go right through it, and they had the money, they had the lawyers, to get right through the permit process. You know what happens then? When our homes comes in, they build their 900 homes, then the environment suffers as a result of it. If you do the opposite of that, and you have small business, you get to keep your culture in your small town, and you get to be environmentally friendly. So I think we ought to turn this whole thing on its head and decrease the regulatory environment so that the small businessman or small businesswoman gets to advance because of it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Number 1. What is your stance on the Monroe Doctrine?
Yeah, great question. I would say not only is the Monroe Doctrine, it's turned into the Donroe Doctrine, and America's gotten to it. We forget often how America was created. It was not created because we sat back and we just happened to create the Louisiana Purchase and Alaska and Florida and all these other countries. It was created because we took some of them by war and force, but most of them we took because we purchased and expanded America. Look, the Arctic route is coming open. Trump knows that. This is not just about expanding America into Greenland. This is about expanding America because America needs to expand. You guys understand what happens when we won the World War, that we became the superpower. And in history, every country and every superpower dies off at what years? Anybody know? 250 years. Guess where we're at next year? And there's a period of a 10-year decline of the superpower, always a summation of a world war, and the incline of the next superpower. And this is the first president in our lifetime that is changing and reflipping that, where we maintain the superpower, and that the American dollar stays the reserve currency of the world, backed by oil, known as the petrodollar. And he's doing that through protection, he's doing that through our military might, he's doing it through our economy, which is $27 trillion economic power. He's doing that through reciprocal tariffs in countries that were taking advantage of our country, our taxpayers, our dollars, America. That is what he is doing. I believe in the Monroe Doctrine and the Monroe Doctrine of Power for Texas.
Thank you. Number 5. Back up at that. Here we go. I was dying to say that. Okay. All right, here we go. How should Congress address prescription drug cost?
I love this one. So my whole thing about the healthcare system right now is that you have very little power over prices of anything. And the reason is we spend trillions of dollars at the federal level, and we don't give it to you, we give it to insurance companies. We give it to pharmacy benefit managers. Can somebody in here tell me why we need a pharmacy benefit manager in 2026? The answer is we do not need one. The reason that we have all of these issues in healthcare and prescription drug prices is because bureaucracy has gotten so big and so powerful that you don't have a voice anymore. I am a small government conservative, and that goes from healthcare to education to the economy to all of the above. You should have the power. It should always be in the people's hands. That is what a true conservative should believe. And so when it comes to prescription drug prices, when it comes to anything in the healthcare sector, all of that, the trillions of dollars that we're spending, and we're giving it to people other than you, no more. I think in Congress, we should pass laws that give money back to the people, and then you have the choice where to get your drugs, what doctors to see, what type of insurance to buy. That's the answer. Free market capitalism. Put the money back in your hands.
Thank you very much. Number 9.
I just saw the picture. Yeah, it's a little different, isn't it?
All right, my friend, how would you support military families living in or connected to the district?
So I think that's a great question because this district has the largest percentage of veterans of any congressional district, so this is an issue that must be first and foremost. Now, I am not a veteran myself. I went to officer candidacy school for the Marines and I was injured while I was there, and God took me on a different path. And so I am very grateful to the veterans among us who stepped up and served their country. And when I am in Congress, I intend to be on the Veterans Affairs Committee. I think that it is so important for whoever is in this district. And that's oftentimes a committee that people don't want to be on it. They feel like it doesn't have real impact. But for us, it has very great impact. And so I think that, you know, to be a servant, to be a public servant, you need to keep in mind those who served us and gave their bodies, their minds, oftentimes their souls. We don't talk about moral injury and how that happens. And so I think that there are a lot of things that we need to make available to veterans. You know, I think that I'm very proud of Texas in making ibogaine available to veterans to help them heal from the scars that they have taken on our behalf. And I think that there are other tools that I as a chemist know are available still to us. But we also need to reinvest people in community, specifically religious communities, because moral injury is not just a disease of the mind, but it's a disease of the soul and the spirit as well. And reconnecting with God and helping our veterans reconnect with God is
Thank you
very
very
important.
much.
Daniel Betts.
Number 7. would you collaborate with local leaders to deliver district priorities?
That's a great question. So my service on city council, when I did that, service as mayor pro tem, I understand those relationships, working with local leaders, working with county commissioners, county judges. Collaboration is important, finding out what the needs are. So I would, if I'm elected, I would have town halls, I would be in the district. I did a lot of stuff in DC in the veteran space. When the members of Congress come back and come to the district, they need to be available. They're not always available, but I would be available to work with those in all the counties across the district to work and find out what those needs are and aligning those priorities to support the local members. So I speak the language. I've done a lot also across the West, because when I was with the Winter Warrior Project, I covered the entire West. So I set up congressional roundtables in California with liberal members, as well as doing stuff in conservative places like Texas. So I think if you understand what's going on, you understand what the needs are, the concerns are, how we can elevate that. You had some questions on military families. As a military veteran myself, and all the military that we have here, that's important to this local community, Military City USA. We know we lost some commands here, but there's ways to address that and work with the local community, the local leaders, so that we bring other things, other training here, other joint service things here, build up that, the things that we lost, we can regain that, because this is a great military city. If you look across the area, there's a lot of military bases and installation. So that's an important thing in the community. But I think being connected, being available, working with those elected officials, it might be challenging in some of the blue cities or where you have a liberal mayor, but I would still collaborate and hear them out. Thank you.
Thank
Find
you
out
very
more at
much.
votetheboth.com.
Number 10. Should we invade Iran?
No, I think the strike that we did on Venezuela, it shows that we have one of the best militaries in the world. We invest with science and technology, and it allows us to reach out and touch someone with a smaller force, and we're one of the few that can do that. I think it sent a message and says, stay in line, otherwise it's just gonna happen to you next.
Short and sweet, I love it, I love it. All right, number 3.
Buster Martinez, I live in the district. I have the most well-rounded background to serve you as congressman.
All right, so this is about infrastructure and transportation. Texas 21 spans both major urban centers and rural areas. What are your priorities for the infrastructure investment?
Well, so one of the things that we talked about earlier is being the only water expert in the race. And I mentioned also, when you look at Bill Gates buying farmland, that it wasn't about buying the farmland as much as it was securing the water. So we have to realize that water security and food security equals national security. And so when we look at infrastructure projects, we have to think on a regional basis. Just look at the AT&T Center for y'all here in San Antonio. We all knew that it should have been placed at Longhorn Quarry over there at Thousand Oaks and 35, and that would have been an economic boom for people, versus where it was placed that didn't do anything. I mean, in San Antonio, do y'all know how much money is subsidized into the VIA bus system? 75 cents on every dollar. So when we look at infrastructure, the water project that we had for Vista Ridge, the water that comes in that pipeline barely covers the leakage inside of the Saws water system. Guess who's paying for it? Us. So when we look at these corridor building opportunities, we have to look at how do we maximize the opportunity. I talked about some of the flights and aviation and some of the things we can do there, but we also need to look at the next generation of business and regulatory freedom that we need to have. We need to have a port built in Laredo so that we can have a port expanded inside of Kelly Air Force Base, so that we can have a manufacturing facility center that goes from North Austin all the way to the border with San Antonio right in between. And my background in those things will help bring that to reality, and my relationships with the elected officials will as well.
Thank you. Number 6. All right, my dear. What is one area where you are willing to work across the aisle and why?
It depends on how far across the aisle we have to go. The truth is that every single member of Congress should be able to listen and have a dialogue with every member across the aisle, even if we disagree with them. Because the unfortunate reality is that whoever you elect is 1/4/35 of 1/2 of 1/3 of the government. And that person has to be able to navigate those personalities because they need 217 other get on board to get whatever agenda we need to get put across. And then that individual has to go over to the other side and get 50 or 60 people in the Senate to get whatever it is that we need to get across. So that person, unfortunately, is going to have to navigate with other people on the other side of the aisle. Because as we have seen, there are going to be plenty of Congress members on our own side that are not going to want to work with us. They're just going to want to say no, just to say no. And that's unfortunate. We have to learn to take an 80% win or a 50% win. And that's unfortunate. Do we want to have everything perfectly? Yes, of course. But we do understand that what's best for San Antonio, what's best for the Hill Country, is not necessarily what's best for Miami, or what's best for New York, or what's best for California, unfortunately. That's the reality of the world that we have to live in. So we do have to be able to have a dialogue. Does that mean that we capitulate to them? Absolutely not. Does that mean that we cower down or back down when they scream, cry, or complain? No, absolutely not. But it can be done and it should be done, and that's what you deserve from our representative. Jason Katie.
Yeah, thank you. Number 2. So Trey, how will you ensure transparency and accessibility to constituents once you're in office?
That's an excellent question, one that I really appreciate. So first and foremost, my wife has push cards up here for you, for all of you. I want you to take one because on the back of it is a telephone number. You can call me. I get text messages on my phone on that number. Absolutely, call me anytime, every time that something is going on. One of the things that I appreciated about Chip Roy is that I was able to call him and talk to him about issues. Now, that might have been because I was serving on the Federal Election Commission, but I'd like to think that it's not. And I called him several times and said, hey, listen, you're wrong on the 2020 election outcome. You need to fix that vote. You're wrong about the J6ers. You need to fix that. There's a lot of things that I called him, and I hated that I called him most of the time when he was wrong on things. But the fact of the matter is that's when you really get concerned about talking to your representative. So I want that level of transparency. The second level of transparency is probably more of an ethical level of transparency, and that is looking at how money is spent in politics, where money is invested in politics, and how your politicians, we don't need people going to Congress and making $30 million in 2 years. We just don't need that to happen. You've got to have transparency in the process. As somebody who's dealt with the federal campaign finance system, dealt with filing ethics reports and making sure that everybody else in the government gets them done correctly, I'm the right guy to do that. This election is about leadership. You don't need people going to Washington, D.C. who don't know what the issues are, who have to ask about various topics and understand what's going on. You want them to work across the aisle, they need to know what's going on the other side of the aisle. My name's Trey Trainer. You can find out more about me on my website, trey4tx.com.
So Heather, how should Congress address inflation, cost of living, and wage stagnation?
Well, I can remember my dad telling me probably 40 years ago that it's the economy, stupid. So, and President Trump has been doing so many great things to try to get inflation and our interest rates back under control. The only reason that my husband and I are in the house that we're in is because the interest rates were below 3% when we bought that house. And we would like to move further out in our district, but we can't afford to right now because the interest rates would not allow us to be in a comparable home. I know that everybody is affected by that, which in turn then affects the real estate and industry as well. I know a lot of people are dealing with this stagnant economy. I think the first thing that I would do is try to learn everything I can about the different systems, about what's going on, and how to help our local economies rein in some of these issues that we're having. I know that President Trump has strong-armed some people about the interest rates, and I, as a consumer and as a home buyer myself, really appreciate that. I think that we might have to strong-arm a little bit more when we are in Washington and trying to help our citizens be further able to stimulate the economy by purchasing more. Heather Tessmer, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, that's everyone getting 4 questions at this time. So we're going to prepare for closing statements, if you don't mind. And I think we'll draw again to see who goes first and that process, if that's all right with all of you, okay? 2 minutes for your closing statement. Number 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, elections have consequences. We can see what happened whenever we had the wrong guy in office. You see, folks, we don't have an opportunity to get a second chance all the time, because right now, if we don't secure the elections, the Democrats are one election away from stealing the future of our country. And you have to have somebody that doesn't have to have on-the-job training. You have to send somebody up there that actually knows how to swing the bat in the right direction, not be a switch hitter for the other team, not be a Manchurian candidate. Today, when we were down at City Hall and the left was going crazy, guess what? I went straight up to the city manager to ask him a question about how to engage in the situation. Then I went up to 2 council members to engage on how to get us involved in the situation. And then I went up to the city attorney to present the same thing. Folks, why? Because I have those relationships. You see, the big issues in DC, they're kind of easy. It's kind of easy not to strike out on those things. But the in-between items, the intrinsic things where you need to know what's going on, that's what's important. My background as a real estate commissioner for the state of Texas, where I served the citizens of this great state for 7 years, gives me a background. My time at Southwestern Bell AT&T working on infrastructure utility issues gives me a background. My time as a water expert gives me the background to be able to serve you day one and make sure that we are moving this district forward. It's time for San Antonio to have the congressman back in District 21. But more importantly, it's time for us to have a congressman that actually is one of us and lives in the district and actually knows the issues, so that whenever we have help, we don't have to explain to them where the Texas Hill Country is. We need to make sure that we are moving our agenda forward and making sure that those votes that happen every day in Congress, that congressman or woman is voting for their family, just like they're voting for your family. We need to have accountability and transparency. Everybody wants to be on Trump's team today. Who is on your team? And whose team will they be on tomorrow when Trump's gone? I'm Weston Martinez, Weston for Texas. God bless you guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Weston. Number 1.
Look, I remember in 2020 walking the hospital floors and patients dying alone. And under the disastrous regulation and policies of the Biden administration, when they came down and shut this country down and pushed people to die alone, I saw firsthand what the federal government can do to the American population. You see, when the government, when we have an emergency, they will always create an emergency. That's what happens. And that's what we're seeing. And because of that, that allowed me to get involved in the party. I got off the couch and got involved in many political campaigns across the board, ran for Congress myself, and then lost. There was not a red wave in 2022, there was a red bloodbath. We got slaughtered in the city of San Antonio, across the board. But we turned inwards, and we focused, and we flipped the chair and had a phenomenal chair. I became the vice chair and fought a lot of issues alongside the Republican Party, with Grant Moody on the Commissioner's Court and City Council, and being able to do that. You see, that's what you want. People that get involved, and don't get involved just when it's the right time, when there's an open seat. You want people that have a history of getting involved. One of the best predictors of future behavior is past behavior. Texas Hill Country just went through the deadliest flood in Texas history, where there are still people missing to this day. And I keep asking, what did you do? On day 3, I joined a veteran group, chainsaw crew, cadaver dog team, and did search and recovery. 3 days after, what did you do? When human trafficking came knocking and what was going on in the city of San Antonio, what did you do? I worked with city officials and got passed via proclamation known as January is known as Human Trafficking Prevention Month. When TDA gang, Trinidad Water gang from Venezuela, popped its ugly head across this nation, including in San Antonio, what'd you do? I stood up and fought and worked with the Firefighter Association as they were targeting our San Antonio Fire Department here in San Antonio. You see, showing up matters. Being involved matters even when you're not elected. My name is Kyle Sinclair. Please check me out for KyleForTX.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Number 9.
Thank you. I'm Daniel Betts, and I want to address something first. This picture. It doesn't look like me anymore. And the reason is that I listen to my constituents, and they told me to get rid of it. And I say that because I want to highlight what it means to be a representative. It's not about what I like or what I want. And I don't say congressman, I say representative, because that's what I'm running to be for here. And we hear talking points about public service, and I feel like when we use the phrase public service, that we get away from what it means to be truly a servant. And I want to quote, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ from Mark 10:42-43, when he talks about who wants to be first among us must humble themselves, must be a servant, and who wants to be truly first among us must be a slave. And I feel called to be that for you. I'm immensely humbled to be here before you, to have heard that call. And I read the Bible to my boys every night. We've been reading chapter by chapter through from Genesis. And I know it's been going on for a couple years because we got to Jonah when Chip announced that he was running for Attorney General. And after doing that prayer and discernment over the weekend with my wife, me hoping that she would say, no, you can't do that. She said yes, and it really felt like God was saying to me, here's a calling. Can you run away from it like Jonah did? And I've got plenty of reasons that I could run away from it. I got young kids. I got an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 9-month-old. So there's plenty of reasons. But I think that they are such a big, important part of what makes me a good servant for you. Because there are going to be opportunities where I am going to be forced to make a choice between the party or the uniparty or whatever you want to call it in this district. And it's because of them and how they ground me in this district that I will always choose each one of you. If you give me the opportunity to be that conduit for your ideas, your hopes, your dreams, your emotions, I will deliver for you. Bet on bets. It'll pay out good.
Time. Thank you. Number 7.
All right. Well, thank you again for carving out time to be here tonight. I know you have a busy life, lots going on. I'm glad you made it out. We all appreciate that. For me, I grew up, my mother raised me, my dad died while I was on active duty. My mom was an artist and a school teacher. And I value that military service then, and being born on a military base in Corpus Christi. I saw my mom and how hard she worked and what she had to do. She drug me to lots of events, she drug me as a little kid to volunteer. She was always volunteering and making a difference in the lives of others. She had a huge impact on me, which is why I have that volunteer and servant heart. I enjoyed my time in the Navy. I say the world's finest Navy because it is, and it was good for me. I want to continue to serve. I've served in public office as an elected official, but I wasn't a politician. I'm a servant, and I have a servant's heart. My voting record, I've voted in every Republican primary. I voted in every primary. I've shown up, I've made a difference. I've done a lot in the community I'm in. I've done a lot in DC. I'm glad I wasn't lobbying, I was advocating up there, but I've held those meetings in DC. I know how to navigate those halls. I know how to talk the talk. I was able to go out to California and do things when I was with Wind Warrior Project and do town halls. I had a Republican congressman hug me because he was so happy with what we were able to do for their veterans, and also a Democrat out there. There's not a lot of Republicans, but what we were able to do for the veterans out there and teaching veterans how to advocate and do things. The fentanyl crisis, I spoke on that. That's close to my heart. I'm going to do something about that and support Trump. I want to be on President Trump's team. The other thing I think is important is to be accessible to the constituents, to come home and be in district. My phone number's on my website, it's on my card. You can call me anytime. I'm very accessible for the Bernesians that are in the room, the Bernieites. They know when I was on city council, I was accessible. People will call you up right the day before a vote on an issue to let you know how they feel. I'm gonna be available to the constituents in the district, have a great team, and also when I'm in DC. So I humbly ask for your vote. Jacques DeBose, votedebose.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 10.
So I touched on it briefly. Like I said, I grew up in San Antonio. I've seen the city change over 38 years. This country's facing a lot. The top 3 things that I see are AI is coming for jobs, they're coming to healthcare, and it's coming to a lot of places that it's going to change. Number 2, we have a lot of companies that are using visa systems and loopholes to import foreign workers in favor of replacing Americans. USA, like I said, 80% of their jobs are going to India by 2030. Number 3, it's going to be the healthcare that fails us, whether you're a veteran or whether you're a single mom or myself, my employees. Healthcare is about $2,400 a month for someone with an $18,000 deductible. We need someone that understands things. Politics is very emotional on the left. An engineer, like myself, understands 1 or 0. It's either yes or no. Something will work or it doesn't. You tear it down if it doesn't work. Fail fast is how we used to say it in the tech industry. Another thing that happened was 3 endorsements that I got. The Republican Liberty Caucus, so they looked at the whole field and decided they were going to go with me. They're one of the largest, oldest grassroots organizations. Number 2, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers endorsed me, the first conservative Republican in 130 years. I took that page from President Trump when he reached over to the Teamsters and said, hey, let's focus on American jobs. This is what's coming and this is what we need to do to protect them. We need someone like that that understands, a couple of years out of college, what's happening to our youth. Because if we don't do stuff for our youth, we're going to lose them to socialism and we're going to lose them to the country. It'll shift quicker than you think. We saw it with Charlie getting shot and it'll continue to ramp up. Number 3, I got the Make America Healthy and by extension, the RFK campaign endorsed me because they understand that they need someone that has a science background. Before I finish, ask all the people up here, how much do your endorsements cost? Those 3 that I earned
Time.
were hard work. I didn't pay for them.
Okay, thank you. Number 6. That's you.
True patriotism is not blind loyalty. It's courage. Courage to do what's right, even when it's unpopular. As a veteran, I understand duty, sacrifice, and I bring that same commitment to public service. As a CEO, I understand how to manage resource wisely. I understand how to solve complex problems. And I understand how to deliver results, not political rhetoric and not empty promises. As a family man, I'm grounded in compassion and integrity. And most importantly, I understand that the decisions that we make today affect our children and their future. I live up the road in Vernon. We lived here for 17 years, my wife and my 4 young children. All 4 of them were born here in the Hill Country. I go to the VA hospital here in San Antonio and also in Kerrville. I have friends and family that also live all throughout Texas 21. My life, my family, my friends, my community is Texas 21. So I hope you see the sincerity in my eyes when you look at me and I tell you, I will not fail you. Because for me, failing you means I fail my family, I fail my community, and I fail the people that I love. And I have never done that, from the war zones of Iraq and Afghanistan to the oil fields of West Texas. I'm not here to ask for your vote. I'm here to earn it. Today, tomorrow, and every single day going forward. I'm Jason Cahill. Thank you for your kindness, your attention, and your willingness to participate. I'm very grateful for all of you being here. Have a great night.
Thank you, Chase. Number 2.
First of all, thank you so much for all the wonderful questions, for everybody to put together, and thank you for putting together such a great forum with all of the questions that we have had. My name is Trey Traynor, a candidate for Congressional District 21, and I think for you as a voter, the most important thing that you can think about in this election is about what kind of leadership will we have in Washington, D.C. The state of Texas has 9 new Republicans who are going to Washington, D.C. And if my good friend Kiko Keiko does not get elected, then they will all be freshman members. And they will all have to deal with senior congressmen from places like New York and California. I'm the only one that has the experience of working in Washington, D.C. I'm the only one that has the experience of working with members of Congress to get things done. I have cut budgets for my agency that I worked at. I have gotten rid of bureaucrats. I've talked today about how we need to continue to cut and how we need to get rid of bureaucrats. I've been endorsed by Texas Right to Life. I've been endorsed by Concerned Women for America. I've been endorsed by Eagle Forum. I've been endorsed by the Bulverde Spring Branch Conservative Republicans. I've been endorsed by the Border Commerce Security Council. And all of those endorsements, as was said earlier, I didn't pay for those. But what I did, and the reason that I got those endorsements, is because of the work that I have already done for the conservative movement. Every one of those organizations I have done work with. I have been involved in what they do. I've been outside of an abortion clinic and prayed. I have been in a courtroom to defend people that are at the end of their life because Texas Right to Life asked me to get involved in the process. I have worked with Concerned Women for America to get things passed. I have worked with Texas Eagle Forum on fighting the United Nations and other organizations that are detrimental to the United States. So at the end of the day, when you're looking for experience, I'm the person that has the experience to go to Washington, D.C. My name is Trey Traynor, and you can find out more about me on my website, Trey for TX.
Thank you so much. Number 11.
I'm Heather Tesmer. I don't just live in District 21, it's actually who I am. I grew up in the Hill Country. It's been a part of my life since I can remember. I remember that Fredericksburg was the big city for us. I can remember when they got a Walmart. It was a huge, big deal for us. And then when they got HEB, we would drive for 45 minutes to go to that HEB. My family has vacationed in District 21. We've hiked in Garner State Park. We've been to the River Inn and Hunt almost every summer. My kids went to camp on the Guadalupe River. And I really like going to the Outlet Mall over in San Marcos. So there is no place else that I want to be. There is no place else that I will ever live. District 21 is always going to be my home and where I will live. Running for this office is the first political office that I've ever run for. I've been through many elections, but it's been for smaller grassroots type groups. Right now I'm the president of the Kendall County Bar Association. I've been putting on conferences and working with attorneys, and I'm not scared of people in Washington. I have to deal with family lawyers every day in this county, and I practice in every county of the district. So when I say that I'm here and I'm working for our people, I'm doing it every day, whether it's in the courtroom or it's with the different groups that I work with or the charities that I'm a part of. So I never thought in a million years that I would have the opportunity to run for public office, and it's just that I've been able to get my office up and running to where they don't need me daily anymore, and so I'm happy to be able to serve my community. Thank you. Heather Tesma.
Thank you very much. Number 8.
Hey everyone, so why me? I have 25 years of experience trading in the financial markets, in the financial debt markets. I've bought and sold bonds for my career. So why is that important to you all? Because I'm gonna take the next minute and a half to prove to you why the national debt is the most critical issue facing our country right now. 10 years ago, interest was 7% of all revenue we brought in as a country. Today, it's 20%, okay? In 10 years, it's estimated to be 25%. If we get any increase in interest rates, that goes to 35%. Now, why is that important? Because 75% of the budget in the United States is spent on mandatory spending, which we have to spend. 25%, which is what we're all trying to go fight for in Washington to write checks for, is discretionary. 25%, does that number ring a bell? Because if we're spending 25% on interest, where do we get the money to spend the 25% on, you know what's in, do you know what's in discretionary? Defense. Defense, we're gonna cut defense? Education, transportation, healthcare, you name it, it's all in there. So what's our choice? We either cut all those programs because we have to pay our bonds off, right? Or we print money and issue more debt. What happens if we do that? Runaway inflation. We don't have a choice, we must deal with our debt. We talked about a lot of issues tonight. We can't deal with immigration, we can't deal with Greenland, we can't deal with any of this stuff until we deal with this debt. It must be dealt with. Please send somebody to Washington to finally deal with it. All right? I have that experience. I have ideas. I've done it. I know what bad debt looks like, and I have solutions for it. I spent my whole career doing it. I'm Mike Wheeler. I'm running for Congressional District 21. Please go to my website, www.mikewheelerforcongress.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Next, number 5.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for having me and for being our moderator tonight. But you did miss a question. We didn't talk about socialism tonight, folks. And if you don't think that the Democrats want to take us to a socialist society in the future, you're crazy. Look at what's happening in New York. Socialist, maybe even a communist mayor. Seattle, Washington. Some say in San Antonio. And we need to understand meritocracy, hard work. This is what built America. We are the Americans that came over here, that were kicked out of other countries, not wanted by other countries, left because of our religious freedom, and with our bare hands, we earned the status of the greatest nation in the history of the world. We complain a lot about this and that in politics, or this and that in our country. It's not perfect, but it is and will always be the greatest nation in the world as long as we have leaders that are going to Washington, D.C. to serve you, not serve their own interests. That's why President Trump is the most effective president of my life. He went to Washington, D.C. as an outsider. He'd already been successful. He was already rich and powerful and famous. He didn't go to Washington for himself. He went to Washington because he loves this country. I love this country. He went to Washington to make a difference. I want to make a difference. I feel like President Trump and I have a lot in common. We probably have a lot not in common. But President Trump to me is somebody that has fought for you, whether you agreed or not. He has fought for you every single day. He has been shot at. He has had so much put on his plate. And he didn't have to do that. He could have just lived his life, been with his children, enjoyed the last half of his life, but he wanted to serve. I want to serve you. I hope I can earn your vote. Thank you for being here tonight. God bless you.
Thank you. Wow, what an amazing group of candidates, right? Oh my goodness. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Just a couple of quick announcements, everyone. We did have another candidate come in the room. Michael Belenga is running for comptroller. So Michael, there we go. Appreciate you coming in. Just a couple of quick housekeeping items here. We want to thank so much all of the ladies who did the check-in for us this evening. We appreciate you coming so much. Sylvia Gardner, Ranger Bennett. We want to thank Michael Sheridan, who was our timekeeper this evening. We really appreciate you, Michael. And as always, Stephen Jordan, our audio visual gentleman, he always does way above and beyond for us. Two quick messaging. don't forget, next Thursday, we have the Attorney General Forum here. Okay, same place, same time, same bat channel. We're thinking we might be in a different room though, so we will let you know about that, we promise, okay? And then on February 3rd, we have Congressional District 35, same location, same, again, probably back in this room as a matter of fact. So please join us for that as well, to meet those candidates. And on a personal note, you guys, I can't believe I'm looking at such an impressive group of leaders and people who have stepped up to run for this office. It is not an easy thing, as you all know. It is not an easy thing. They're taking time away from their businesses, their families, their homes, everything, to do what's right for the country, for us in this district and for the country. And for that, lady and gentlemen, we thank you all very, very much. We really do. Get behind a candidate, give them money. They all need money, everybody. They need money. We thank you all again. Hey, and stay warm this weekend. Boom. Thanks, everyone.
Get out there and pass out. Huh? Get out there and pass out. Mr. Mondon.
Sorry, I'll go see you. How are you, ma'am?
Did that person come and help you out? For your, this is some of your direction, but
Thanks for coming.
I'm the only one.
Yo no le puedo hacer chapuzas así o trampas. La cuchara. De metal.
I'm glad you're out and out. They're still going. Madness. Watching Ronaldo open up there with this nice that's good. Ridership only pays 4%. I was like, wow, he's Hey, Tricky, how are you? Up there. That's the first time to take it off. A little slower than myself.
I'm gonna, every time I end like a conversation, I'm always gonna say fresh child, but digital 21. It's kind of important. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Thanks for coming.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
Oh, you were out there working.
But I heard you out there.
It's all good. Are you doing well?
I'm doing good with them. I had a little late. I had an interview. Since that trip for actually serving a company out of Mexico. She about auto parts. That's my, that's my bread and butter. Lock it down. When the girls come today, they can wake up their mind today, tomorrow. It's not like, oh shit. But on this one is Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, which is on call every weekend. This one is just Monday through Friday, from 7:30 to 4 o'clock. But I think that is. Yeah, that's right up your wheelhouse. So I don't know, what's the, I say God is in there.
Grab him really quick and real quick. So yes, out of the ring. This Dave, she has maybe a question that you do. I think it's
I don't know. I don't even know what it is. Well, there's Ethan, but we're still
Yeah,
Good luck. Do they live, do they go to Washington to live, or do they travel?
Let me give you one of these. Patrick, how's the race looking?
Oh yeah, I saw you where they called today. No, I was watching all day. They finally called today. They were going till 30 minutes ago. They called before I walked in. Before I walked in, they called you guys. You know who Hernando is? Yeah, he's people are nice man. He's Patrick Bondo.
I'll be right back.
Great job. No, it's just not worth it.
It felt like responded to some comment.
So it sounds like you didn't really know anything. So it lit a fire. That's good to hear. I didn't even know
Thanks for calling.
my mom.
You got it.
The guy that was there on the end there, I can't remember his name. No, the one that's on here.
So tomorrow is in Newtown. Monday is Hackler out there. Tuesday is nothing Wednesday. Thursday is Friday, Saturday. We've got another one. Sunday the 1st, we're at Jewish Community in San Antonio. We've got another one in Hillsdale County. They're all over the
Oh, yes, I saw that.
They were experimenting.
Right, exactly. That's true. Someone defeated at some point. Mesopotamians.
It's really hard to
They called your name there.
go ask one question.
My cousin, Paul, Casanova.
It's been a while, man. I don't see you for years, and now I see you guys.
They did that statue after that. When Trump was running the first time in 2016.
Yeah.
No.
They don't let you take it in the council, you can take it in there.
Yes.
Tracy.
I was confident.
Hey, give me a shout. You have my number.
What's going on? Give me a shout. Wow, we're related to yeah, somebody tried calling me out on YouTube because there's the chat panel, next to it, and I was commenting, and somebody said, hold on, aren't you, because my name is Envision Art -SA, and they go, is this you? You're the one that's from the Canary Islands, it's been here since 1732, and I go, oh good, I'm glad you found me. What's that? You know, it's like, what are you trying to say? And then it was a statue.
It is. It's probably bigger than congratulations. I'm probably thinking so we see it. Hey, good to see you.
Great talking to you.
Repeat yourself. Rinse and repeat. Hey, Patrick Mondo.
I wanted to talk about sharing law and education, but they didn't bring it up. I meant to do it in my rap.
Really good. Good to see you. Good. So good? Like your hair?
There you go. Good seeing you again. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How are you? Good to see you. Long time no see. Doing good?
Right. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Happy New Year. Any new news from you? Any new news from you?
Because I can tell you, when you're going home, you will.
No time to get in trouble.
My dad always said, you know,
So I was telling you about, I haven't heard of Rebecca Keesling. She lost, she didn't experience some drug and was laced with, so really her story was brought down to speed several times here. She's an abortion survivor, her mom shot her with drugs, and she survived both times, and she became another lawyer, married, 4 children, and she started the same time. And it's all, she's the one that is network for changing birth periods and abortion so she visited him. She basically said, when I said that, we asked a question of him, she said, so you believe that a rapist, in the state of Texas, a rapist didn't want then you'll perform capital punishment for the child conceived in rape. So you won't perform capital punishment on the rapist, you will perform capital punishment on the child conceived in rape. And that was just change that. So she testified at the Biden administration and Biden came out with specifically her. Information?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you're right. Hold on.
It's a metal part.
No, got it. You can't. I'm not giving it away. Yeah. Got it. I'm an Aggie. I'm slow. See y'all later.
What's just the next one?
My glasses on. Okay. Yeah, you man.
Okay, second.
What can I help you with?
Okay. A good part of my heart's gone. She was my little girl, my princess, did everything for me. Volunteer.